是今天他给大家带来的讲座是如何高效培养 MC 小精英。因为大家知道这个人工智能的时代，以及是我们现在各个样的这个科技的一个发展，其实数学是所有的基础。那我们华人的孩子其实数学的底子又非常好，那怎么能够让我们的在这样的基础上更好的去培养？其实艾伦老师就是我们这样的一个榜样。我的艾伦老师今天的公益讲座其实是会用英文的，我只是一开始用这个中文给大家稍微做一个介绍。那后面的这个Q&A 的环节呢，其实中文、英文都可以啊。其实我们的艾伦老师他很小就来到美国，其实是属于我们的华人1.5代，我们是所以他的英文非常好，他的英文非常好。艾伦老师他是非常资深的一个纽约数学队的教练，他在纽约数学队执教了有10年啊。大家能看到，其实这是一个纽约数学队的主教练和我们的艾伦老师在一起。今天他特别给我们带来怎么培养我们的精英。那我们的艾伦老师是毕业于 MIT 麻省理工学院的数学系，然后是管理和科学的双学士学位毕业的。他在高中期间，在中学期间就带领这个纽约队整个就获得了这个Math League， 这是一个团体的数学的一个竞赛，美国团体最高的数学竞赛叫 Math League 竞赛 ARML 的冠军。那在这里，其实我们的艾伦老师很年轻所有的这个15位的一个队员全部被麻省理工学院 MIT 提前录取的，所以这都是早生录取的。所以有些非常好的一个数学的底子，在名校的申请上绝对是一个加分项。那艾伦老师其实他的一个成长的过程，他也是一个从小就是一个培养起来的数学的一个人才，14岁就获得了 MC10的一个满分。获得了高中本身来说，他对打 MC 非常有经验他获得了数学的这个个人的冠军，刚才是团体的冠军，同时在高中纽约州的数学竞赛中获得个人的冠军，3次打入我们的 USAMO 这么这个高级别的这个竞赛。那同时呢，因为有这样好的底子，其实数学的底子也是所有我们所有的这些科学所基础，所以我们安老师其实在高中获得了19项，不光是数学、物理、化学的各项的竞赛的一个冠军，所以是非常大牛的一位老师。那安老师今年呢，他带着8位的学生，以非常高的分数打入了 USJMO 和 USAMO。这的话，恩老师会做更详细的介绍。那在取得这样的成绩的情况下，其实艾伦老师是非常注重和投入他对于教育非常有热情，他希望能够培养更多的华人的2代，以及我们中国的孩子、华裔的孩子，能够在数学上更能够打出自己的天地来。那也在这个培养过程中，发现其实孩子需要从小去培养。那在很多的时候，他也看到不少的学生其实有不错的底子和潜力，但是因为培养比较晚，在最后的在这个数学上的成就就很难有一定的突破，且很难显示他出这能力。那这里其实，所以艾伦老师他也也在产出了这么一套培训体系，可以培养到我们的这个孩子们。那这位的学生就是 Brian， 他才刚刚其实3年级升4年级，他跟 Alan 老师才学了1年，那进步真的非常大他可以看到他已经掌握了很多的 MC 的那个知识点。那不仅如此，其实他还是学习数学，那不只是一个这个自己掌握的过程，同样也是锻炼你的领导力分享力这样子。孩子从他的1年级到的小学阶段，也是一个培养数学思维非常重要的一个时间，包括他的才能够真正达到一个很好的一个高度这上面。那接下来我觉得我只是一个简单的欢迎我们的 Alan 老师。OK, Alan, welcome.
So my name is Alan. Just call me Alan. As I was one of the 2006 AMC 10 perfect scorers, and when I was in high school, I also won other major awards. For example, I qualified for the USMO 3 times, from 2007 to 2009. And in 2008, I was part of the New York City math team that won the ARMO competition. I'll talk about these competitions in more detail later. And in 2009, I was the New York City A-team captain, and I was admitted to Massachusetts Institute of Technology at MIT, and I graduated in dual major in math and management science. So I have quite a bit of experience back then, and so I'm eager to pass on my experience to the students. So the next thing is, why do we, what's the benefits of doing math competitions? Well, one thing is that it trains your thinking skills, right? Because math competition problems are not like school problems. They require a lot of steps. Not just like in school math, usually it's one or two steps, and they are mostly computation. But in math competitions, well, sometimes 10 steps, okay? But usually 5 or 6 steps. Okay? So easier ones, 5 or 6 steps. And then the more difficult ones, a lot more steps. Okay? Especially on the USMO. You have to be prepared to do a lot of steps, a lot of non-trivial analysis. Okay? So you need to think a lot. And also you have to be willing to accept failure, right? Because a lot of times you're not going to solve the problem. Okay? Like in school, you might score like 100 or 95. Okay? That's a good score. In math competition, a good score might be like solving half of the problems. On the AMI, I can tell you that like on the AMI, so AMI is 15 questions. The average score is usually around 5 out of 15. Okay, so as you see, like for most, like a lot of students, like some students like score a lot more, but the average for all competitors is around 5 questions. Some students might even score 1 or 2 questions out of 15. Okay? So that's way different. Okay? Like those students that score 1 out of 15 might even score like 100 in their school. Okay? So like you see, like it's very different. Okay? So your expectations should be a lot different in math competitions. Okay? Like same thing for the AMC, the top score is 150. But the average score is around 70. Probably way under that. Like probably even lower. It's because the top 5% is around like for the AMC 10, for the AMC 12, the top 5% is 80 something. So probably a lot lower. So probably like 50 points. And even not even 70. Here it's probably like 50 points. It's because the top 5% is around 80 points. So you can see around 85. Okay? Like of course this is not a valid score. Sometimes like 85.5, sometimes 84. I know that in past years it's around this number. Well, last year it's a little bit higher, but like it's around these two numbers, right? 84 or 85.5. and that's top 5%, right? So you see, that is about it's like slightly it's slightly over 50%, under 60%. That's for top 5%, right? And the AME, the AMC students are usually the top students from the school. Right? So you need to set your expectation a little bit differently. Right? Is that in math competition, you have to be willing to accept failure, right? But it also trains your preservation skills, right? Like you fall down, pick yourself up. Like you have to be willing to do that. It's discouraging, but you will really you'll learn to persevere in math competitions. And because in math competitions, there are a lot of team competitions, like the HMT, ARMO, well, you need to be willing to work with others. Okay? And also, I find that I learn a lot better when I am also working with students, because there are a lot of things that I don't know. I learn a lot from others. Either back then when I was a high school student, I learned a lot from my classmates. So you have to be willing to talk to others, be willing to learn from each other. It's not an individual thing. Your success is being shared. So that in contrary, you have to be willing to develop a team mindset, and that's great for your future as well. And also, math competition lets you win massive awards. Right? You qualify for the AME and you do very well, or you do very well on the ARMO or or you make the USMO. Well, that gives you a major edge in college applications for the schools that are really strong in mathematics. And it's not for all schools, but if you're going for schools have a really strong math department, well, make sure you let them know that you do well in certain math competitions. And also because you learn a lot of stuff that are kind of required for tech job interviews, like coding, finance. Well, that gives you a massive advantage in the job interviews in the future. So there are multiple benefits in doing that. Okay? And then another thing is it's like female in math competition. Right? Well, there are a lot less female in math competition, right? And that is also another discouraging aspect for a lot of female students. Right? Because you go to a math competition, you see around, you look around, it's all mostly male students. Okay? But if you do well, it's highly rewarding. Right? There are some students that barely make the AME, and they end up getting to very top colleges. Some of them are the first two, but Alice, Alice is probably one of my most proud students. She actually set the highest score on the AMC, 138 before, and her sister was the one that made the MOP last year. Her sister is currently an 11th grader. Last year, made the MOP, qualified for the USA JAMO, scored very well on the USA JAMO, make the math cam, and then this year didn't make the USMO. That's her younger sister, and she studied at Stanford, but she actually also got into MIT. And then Carol, another one of my students, from the same school, same year as Alice, qualified for the USMO, and currently studying mathematics at MIT. It's mostly competition math. The problems require a lot of thinking. And you might think that you do well in school, but you're competing with other students that do well in their schools as well. You're not competing with everyone. Right? So your classmates are also very strong. Right? Not just that you are very strong. That's why my materials tend to be a lot harder. Yeah, currently I have a class that teaches the level 1 material already. So just look through the materials, see if you understand these materials. And then a lot of my students currently in the class will go to the level 2 class. If you know the level 1 materials, okay, it's about expressions, working with FOIL method, which is what I'm talking about right now. Then my next topic for those students are mostly going to be geometry. And that's why I'll have a lot more GeoGebra diagrams. Same thing for level 3. Is that level 2 and level 3 are a little bit different? Is that level 3 are for the ones that are the students that go a lot faster. Graphing, geometry, but a lot more difficult materials in the algebra level 3. But level 2 is mostly geometry. Your first class with me, definitely start with level 1, because you would definitely not know a lot of the major ideas, like the applications of them, not know a lot of them yet. Okay, so just go level 1, and then you eventually go to level 2. Okay, but if you had the class with me, or if you look at the English syllabus and you know the ideas and you know them very well, then hop onto my level 2. But I suggest start from the base to refine your understanding. So you don't need to start with level 2. Okay? You can just start with level 1 and just work your way through. Right? Because a lot of stuff, yes, you'll learn. You probably see it from school. Let's say you're in 5th grade. You might have heard of the FOIL method. I will talk a lot deeper into the FOIL method, right, that you might not know from what you're doing in school. Okay, so that's the thing. And also some of the applications of the FOIL method is the clever calculation. You definitely will not learn that in school. Okay, so I would say start. Let's say you have not gone through any classes with me. Start with level 1, unless you're let's say you're in 7th grade, 8th grade is between level 2 and level 3. Right? Okay. But if you are just beginning, I suggest level 1, right? Because you will learn a lot of the basics. I will stretch this out a little. Level 1, the new students, I will stretch this out a little. I'll talk a lot deeper into math competition. I'll highlight the difference between regular school math and competition math. Okay? That there's a step in the difficulty level that is a lot more difficult. Right? Math can group. If you are in 7th, you're not doing the AMC in the material. Start with math can group. Maybe if you really feel like you're really strong in this, maybe start with 2nd grade. But I would say 1st grade, because remember, math competition is for students that do well in school. Right? It's not a competition between you and your classmates. You might think that it's easy. You will a lot of students fall into the trap of going to a higher grade level, and then feel it's too hard and get discouraged. And that's why start from even if you have 1st grade, I would say start from the grade 2 problems. Right? Don't just start immediately at grade 3. Is there any test? It's very hard to take a test and know your level, because they're in math competition, the materials are very diverse. The most important is learn lay a strong foundation so that in the future it will not collapse. And that's the most important thing. Right? Is that the 1st and 2nd grade, a lot of materials will focus on what you learn in 3rd grade and the math competition work for 2nd grade. Right? It's just the materials is gonna be 2 levels, 2 grade levels ahead, but the competition level is one level, at most one level ahead. Okay? Because in school, like the materials are a lot easier. That's why I go 2 levels ahead, usually. Okay? So like, let's say for the for 5th grade, 6th grade, like the class is mostly 5th grade, 6th grade students, but AMC, the materials they'll learn, like if it's school material, usually it's like 7th grade, 8th grade material. And if it's competition level, I try to go like easier level on the AMC thing. And also like the younger students have a much distinct advantage. They have a lot less work in school, that they can put in a lot of work in my materials. That's why the students, like that's why I suggest start much earlier. Okay, so the next thing is, how's my class like? Okay, you can see that what I'm gonna do is I have this screen here. I share my video, and then classes are on Zoom, 90 minutes long, okay, 1.5 hours long. For the 3rd grade, 4th grade, that's the exception, is that I'll have a 5-minute break. But other than that, 5th grade or higher, like the intermediate level, like level 2 or higher, it's a non-stop class, 90 minutes long on Zoom. Okay, same as this. I will send you a Zoom link. Every class will go on the same Zoom link, and show up if you can. Right? Why? Because you want the live experience of me doing the prompts. Also, you can also ask questions live if you have questions. And I see some students like just watch the recording, but show up if you can. Right? That is why I ask, right? Because you get a lot out of my class if you show up and ask questions, right? Because I might know this stuff. It's just that I might go over the stuff a lot faster. Right? Like if you want me to slow down, that's okay. Right? I will slow down and explain the stuff over for you. Right? But if you don't show up to class, it's very hard for me to know if you know it or not. Right? Unless like you really struggle and you ask in the WeChat group, I really don't know. So like show up to class, ask questions. Right? And I will post all the screen recording, and I'll screen record this, okay? And I'll upload the recording for you. So you don't need to take screenshots. I actually had students before that asked me, can you go back to a previous slide? Let me take a screenshot. I was like, well, I will have all the recording for you. So you don't need to take any screenshot, so it speeds up the class a little bit faster. Right? I don't need to wait for you to take notes. Right? And then all the class notes, additional exercise or homework, and the solutions will be posted. Right? So all the classes will have homework, okay? And I'll provide solutions to all the problems. Well, most of the problems. I would say like 90% of the problems, I will have solutions. And if the problems are repetitive, then some of them might not have solutions, but most problems will have solutions. And the repetitive problems are usually computational ones that you can check online anyways. And you don't really need my solution. Right? Like just look at what are the solutions and you can figure out what to do. Right? Because all the problems we solve similarly. Okay? But if it's a new problem, obviously I will have solutions. Okay? It's just that the repetitive problems will not have solutions. Okay? So for example, recently, I was like on one class, I was talking about computation involving square roots. Okay? Like so basically it's just like several calculations involving square roots that I have solutions, like the numerical solutions for the first few problems, and then later problems I will only have the numerical answer without the detailed solution. Okay, another thing is, how do you do well in my class, right? In math competition in general? one thing is you have to be willing to take risk. Okay? Because a lot of time you will not be able to solve problems. If you constantly say, "Oh, I don't know what to do," I don't know what to do, that's going to be very hard. Okay? A lot of the math competition thing is about mindset. Okay? You have to be willing to take a risk. Be willing to make a mistake. That's okay, and be confident at what you're doing. And you shouldn't because if you are not confident at what you're doing, you constantly second guess yourself. You constantly going back and check your work. That's what wastes a lot of time, right? And that is why here is I don't recommend checking work. Right? Because a lot of the early stage of the math competition is a speed competition, right? Like the AMC 8, AMC 10, or AMC 12. Mostly a speed competition. If you're going back and check your work, that's going to waste a lot of time. And you're not going to do well. You just eliminate the chance of doing well. And also, if you're constantly checking your work, it just you just constantly slow down. Okay? So you just keep you just develop the bad habit of second guessing yourself. So you have to be assertive at math competition so that you have the sense of urgency. Because if you second guess, that's what slows you down. Okay? So be willing to take risks and be confident. Okay? That is the first step. Okay? It's okay to be wrong, but you have to be willing to try. Okay? And then another thing is, as I said earlier, math competition is you really want to learn together. That's why I have a WeChat group for each class, and I suggest asking questions, and also try to answer other people's questions. Hey, so for example, in class, someone might ask a question can you repeat what we just did here? Why do we do this in this step? Well, try to answer for me. Answer a question for me. Answer someone else's question. And why? It's because the best way to learn is actually by teaching. Okay, so it's okay. It's also okay to be wrong, but your interpretation is incorrect. That's okay. You will use that as a learning experience. But if it's also correct, that's really good because it's you show that you're showing that your own interpretation. It deepens your understanding of the ideas as well, and that's why I suggest be more active on the WeChat group, right? Especially for students. You answer a question that other students ask. Right? If you have questions, if you don't know how, why am I doing such thing, that's okay. Be willing to ask as well. Right? Because if you don't ask, then it's very hard for me to know that you don't know. Because there are times that I have a syllabus for all my classes. I usually won't go toward the plan for the class for the syllabus. Sometimes I go a little bit slower, and sometimes I overestimate a little, right? Because the students don't understand the stuff. Well, I have to really slow down a little. Probably next class, I notice that students don't understand the material. I have to give more examples. Okay? So that's why those feedback is very important. Right? So ask questions in class. Also ask after class. You can also ask the WeChat. Hey, another thing is do the additional exercise. Hey, why? is because in the math competition, you don't want to get stuck on trivial steps. Right? The additional exercises, the ones that it really like focus on what we just learned. Right? Do the additional exercise, and also I suggest watching recordings. I always upload them on the Google Classroom. Watch the recordings, and also try to write your own summary. And like get a notebook, write your own summary. Right? So go through after you go through my class. After the class, write down what you learned. And this is for right after the class. Okay? So save it on your computer or something. Okay? You might end up updating the summary after watching recordings again, but write your own summary, because that's the way you learn. I actually learned this in high school from one of my teachers. Is that after write your own summary is how you really learn, and that is the technique I also do in college as well. And it's write the own summary, and a few sentences. Right now, what are the main ideas? What do you learn from the class? Right? Because also math competition is more of a pattern recognizing. Right? If you learn a very important technique today, write it down so that in the future, see a similar problem, use the same technique. Right? And then another thing is that I want you to focus on how you solve the problem, rather than thinking about what's the numerical answer. The numerical answer does not matter to me. Let me just repeat that, okay? Numerical answer does not matter. The most important thing is how you get toward the numerical answer. Okay, and that is why in your homework, okay, is that you can submit in Google Classroom you can submit your homework, submit the work with your with how you get the answer. Right? So I see that in the past I had students that just their prompts, they print out the homework sheet, they just write the numerical answer right next to the prompt. That gives me no feedback at all. Right? Even though you get the right answer, especially a lot of them are computational. I don't know if you check using Google or using a calculator. Okay, so you should show your work with a new sheet of paper. Right? So homework is that your homework solution. Okay, with a new sheet of paper. Okay, because you need some space as well. Right? Another thing is how do you do well in math competition? You give yourself space. Right? Don't cram it into the homework sheet, the question sheet. Right? Because in the question sheet there's a lot of printed out writings on it. It just builds such a bad habit of doing work on the homework sheet. Right? So starting from the homework, use a new homework sheet, write all the work. It's okay to be not legible, but I want to see, I want you to develop habit of doing the work on another sheet of paper. Okay. Also show your work, right? Because that's how I know if you really understand the material. Right? Because let's say you are doing the work in the correct steps, even though if you don't know if you make a calculation error, that's okay. Okay? That's okay. The process in solving the problem is a lot more important than the numerical answer. Right? So focus on these things. Right? That will help you do a lot better. Right? And also, as I said earlier, don't be discouraged. Right? Because in the math competition, you see that a lot of students score very low percentage-wise. Right? In the homework, there are 10 problems. Usually 10 problems. My homework is usually an hour to 2 hours long. You might not be able to solve all the problems. Right? You solve half of the problem. That's a good. You're actually doing very well. Okay. So like I would say like the computation ones, I expect that to be like around 80%. But for the thinking problem, like 50% is very good. And it's like don't be discouraged. Okay? Like you will not be able to solve all. I'm sure that like you'll get stuck on some of the problems, okay? But you'll learn a lot from problems. Okay? Like it's just a simulation of what you do in the math competitions. Okay? And it's like like, don't be discouraged. Right? Like, especially if you don't know how to solve a problem. Right? Like that's why I ask questions. Right? If you don't know, that's okay. Ask me. Right? Ask in the group chat. And like just like send a text in the group chat. Hey, how to do a question 2? How to do question 3? That's okay. Ask that. Instead of just spending hours and hours not knowing how to do it. Okay? Like I will try to answer like within the day. Like, but I will also talk about like what's the main idea behind the problem. Okay? If you ask, okay? It's like just ask. Okay? Like use the WeChat group, and also if someone asks a question, well, you can try to answer.